So we're going to get started today, and our first speaker, who is also going to introduce herself. I think it's best that our wonderful advocates do this instead of me trying to plow through a bio. Is Stephanie Bozarth, who's a patient advocate from the National MPS Society, and today she's going to talk about limited access to specialists in private insurance networks. Let's welcome Stephanie.
Hi. Thank you so much, and I'm really honored to be here today. I want to really start out by making a statement. I want to tell you first of why I'm here. My daughter Annabelle, which is now 8 years old, but by her 4th birthday, running, jumping, and playing slowed as excruciating pain and exhaustion had taken over her body. She is about 1 in 600 in the U.S. with MPS 4A. There is no cure. Soon after her diagnosis, I joined the National MPS Society. It is a 501c3. They fund about $500,000 in peer-reviewed grants each year on research. And we found out that there was not much known about my daughter's specific type of MPS. I knew that had to change. And so I wanted to get in with other folks that were like-minded that wanted to move the ball. And I did find that at the National MPS Society. I'm quite involved with them now. I'm on the board and been on the board for quite some time. They also provide services to families and support through extraordinary experiences, also travel, scholarships. We have an annual family conference to bring families together. As many of us know, when you have a rare disease, it's pretty unusual that you're going to find someone else within a short radius that also has that disease. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about mucopolysaccharidosis. That's the long term for MPS. I can even spell it. It's pretty long. People with MPS are not able to produce a certain enzyme inside the cell at the right levels or at all. This leads to a buildup of excess materials in almost every cell of the body, causing cell damage that increases over time as more and more materials accumulate. MPS is progressive. It is always changing. This means that we know, families, that the detrimental health impacts will get worse over time. There are limited treatments. There are only 4 treatments out of the 11 types of MPS. And that only helps some aspects of the disease. It's not a comprehensive treatment, but it certainly helps slow the disease progression. There are no cures for MPS. So how does this impact our families? Parents need to coordinate with dozens and dozens of medical experts. We see them all from the moment that they are diagnosed and to manage their care over time. This includes pediatricians, neurologists, geneticists, ENT doctors, orthopedics, audiologists, specialty dentists, oral surgeons, cardiologists, home nursing aides and nurses. There's also physical, speech, and occupational therapy. And many times specialized medical equipment is involved. The cost to care for a child or an individual with MPS is astronomical. It goes without saying that lots has changed in the healthcare and health coverage in the last 2 years. The passage and implementation of the Affordable Care Act has brought significant changes in how individuals are insured, who is insured, and what services are covered. As the Affordable Care Act, health insurance coverage, and health costs management continue to be debated in Congress, there are many important issues that are very specific to individuals with rare diseases like MPS. While change is often good, we must be careful to remember that the needs of those with rare diseases are often very, very unique from the general population. As we seek to improve healthcare delivery and coverage and costs, we must do things better and not worse for those with rare diseases. So I was asked to specifically talk about what I refer to as my narrow network nightmare. Insurers who remain vigilant and battling the rising cost of treatments are often opting for narrow networks to control those costs. Narrow network plans limit and sometimes even deny rare disease patient access to the country's only experts in that specific type of rare disease. This ultimately prevents the rare disease patient from receiving the most innovative treatment, procedures, and medications that would improve their quality of life and even be life-saving. So I want to go back just to those stats. I like to paint the picture appropriately. There are 30 million Americans with rare diseases. But more importantly, I think sometimes when we think of a rare disease, we think of maybe elderly, or we think of frail or older. Actually, 50% of those are our children. That's who we're talking about. The common challenges of those with rare diseases have difficulty finding doctors with a background specific to the rare disease. They have problems such as finding a doctor that understands the disease progression, the heterogeneity of the disease, the predictable complications that might happen in surgical or any type of intervention with medicine. That knowledge and expertise is critical for quality of life. So I want to drive it home with the last statement about my daughter and how this has impacted us. My husband is insured by his employer, so we are actually in the private sector. We don't go through the marketplace, and the unintended consequence of some of the changes in the Affordable Care Act did change how our insurance was coverage. Over the last 8 years, Annabelle has been going to see an orthopedic surgeon that was always in network. We were able to go there. Everything was fine. We always hit our in-network deductibles. We always hit our max. Because she had so many medical surgical needs because of her bone disease was severe. Because we found that doctor, he was able to do things to help her quality of life. We were told at diagnosis she was severe. The doctor said, by kindergarten or first grade, your daughter is going to be in a wheelchair. She will not be able to walk because the pain will be too excruciating, or she just won't have the stamina to get from one classroom to the next. So prepare yourself, go home, think about your house. What is it set up like? Think about the car that you drive. Think about everything that you do as you move forward so that you can accommodate your child that is going to be in a wheelchair. Well, because we found that doctor, that expert, that was not in our same state, in fact, a few states away, that changed her outcomes significantly. What we had is a picture of being in a wheelchair. We actually now have a child that she's had to have her hips reconstructed. And out of orthopedic surgeons in our world, globally, there are 3 that work on children like my daughter. One is in Manchester, one is on the West Coast, one is on the East Coast. I have 3 doctor options for her that actually know about my daughter's disease. So we were able to get to that one, and that one specific doctor on the East Coast was the only doctor doing hip reconstruction so that she could continue to walk. This was major. If you could consider the fact of a child being put into a wheelchair, their quality of life plummets. So we know that having a network that allows us to see the doctors is critically important. Last year, about mid-year, we were told that that doctor was no longer in network for us. Our network had just suddenly narrowed. Even though we were private payers, we were paying a bundle for it. We battled and battled. We barked up every tree to try and get the in-network coverage that we did. At the end of the day, everybody held strong, and many did not help us at our insurance. We were able to get her to see the doctor because it is a no-brainer. We have to get her the care that she needs. But it was a huge difference in her outcome, and I just want to show you. I did bring a picture of her because I think a picture is 1,000 words or a lot of words. But this is Annabelle. This is her riding a bike last year. And just to think that this child with the wrong medical care and not being able to get to the doctor she needed, it would have been a child in a wheelchair. So it's significantly different because we were able to get to the specialist we need. Thank you.